Good evening, my name is Aaron Gaff. I'm going to be covering Glycidol, the threshold limit values, permissible exposure limit, and recommended exposure level. Threshold limit value, a level to which a worker can be exposed day after day for a working lifetime without adverse effects. The TLV for Glycidol is 25 parts per million. With that being said, this does not mean everybody will be affected the same. In fact, some may be more sensitive than others. So just like allergies, medications, things like that, it's not going to affect everybody the same. Some people could be affected worse than others. TLV is a reserved term of the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists. TLVs issued by the ACGIH are the most widely accepted occupational exposure limits both in the United States and most other countries. However, it is sometimes loosely used to refer to other similar concepts used in occupational health and toxicology, such as acceptable daily intake and tolerable daily intake. So, clearly reading that tells you that sometimes the words may be a little bit different, but essentially it means the same thing. Permissible exposure limit. Permissible exposure limit, PEL, is the maximum amount or concentration of a chemical that a worker may be exposed to under OSHA regulations. In this case, for Glycidol, it's 50 parts per million over an 8-hour work shift. So obviously, air is being monitored, your time within the, in the work environment is being monitored. And it's something to think of when you're being exposed to this chemical directly. Recommended exposure level. The recommended exposure level, REL, is a numeric value defining the maximum concentration or level of exposure to a hazardous substance or condition that is permitted in a workplace. In this case, it's 25 parts per million for Glycidol. Injury and symptoms. This is the most important, in my opinion, when it comes to exposure and chemical knowledge. Exposure routes, inhalation, ingestion, skin, or eye contact. Symptoms can be eye irritation, skin, nose, throat, and narcosis. Target organs: eyes, skin, respiratory system, central nervous system. This is rapidly absorbed through the skin, which means PPE, gloves, covering, all of that comes into play when you're working directly with this chemical or an environment with this chemical, since that is the easiest route for it to affect you. If you have any questions, now is your time to ask.